In a quiet Igbo village cradled by rolling hills and sacred forest, there lived a wise and respected elder named Ogbuefi. He was the keeper of the people's stories, a warrior whose name was spoken with reverence, and the father of a singular daughter, Amara. She was his pride, the one he called the light of my old age. From the time she could walk, Amara followed Ogbuefi like a shadow, sitting at his feet as he recounted tales of their ancestors. The strength of our people lies in the stories we carry, he would say, his voice steady like the hum of the evening wind. Amara soaked up his wisdom, her heart swelling with pride for the legacy she was destined to inherit. The peace of the village was shattered one fateful year when the white men arrived. They came with strange tools, foreign tongues, and a desire to reshape the land and its people. They marked the sacred forest, the heart of the village's heritage, as a site for their roads and machinery. Ogbuefi, unwavering in his resolve, stood before the colonial officer, his voice thundering like a drumbeat. This forest is not just trees and earth. It is the spirit of my people, the cradle of our stories. You will not touch it. But the invaders did not listen. When Ogbuefi and a group of elders staged a peaceful protest in the forest, they were met with violence. Ogbuefi was struck down, his life slipping away beneath the ancient trees he had vowed to protect. Amara, clutching the beaded necklace her father had given her, knelt by his body, her cries echoing through the forest. His last words to her were a whisper: "Protect the stories. Protect our people." In the months that followed, the village mourned, and Amara wrestled with her grief. She found solace in Obinna, a kind and visionary young man who had loved her since they were children. Obinna was unlike the other men of the village. He dreamed of a future where tradition and progress could coexist. Under the moonlit skies, Amara and Obinna shared whispered dreams of freedom and love. "We can fight for the forest together," Obinna said one night, holding her hands. "But we must also teach our people to adapt, to be strong in new ways." Amara's heart swelled with love for him, but she knew the weight of her father's legacy would not let her rest. When the colonial officers began clearing the sacred forest, Amara knew she could no longer remain in the shadows. She gathered the villagers, standing tall with her father's carved wooden staff in her hand. "My father gave his life for this forest, for the stories of our people," she declared. "We cannot let them take what is ours. If we lose the forest, we lose who we are." Inspired by her courage, the villagers united. Through nonviolent resistance and strategic alliances, they slowed the colonial forces, buying time to preserve their heritage. As the conflict escalated, the colonial officers offered a grim bargain: they would spare the forest if Amara agreed to leave the village and cease her resistance. Knowing her presence placed her people in greater danger, Amara made the painful choice to leave. On her last night in the village, she stood in the sacred forest one final time, the beads around her neck glinting in the moonlight. Obinna found her there, his eyes filled with anguish. "You don't have to do this," he pleaded. "I do," she said softly, tears streaming down her face. "This is my father's legacy, and now it is mine." Amara's departure was not the end of her story. She traveled across the land, teaching others the value of preserving their heritage and fighting for justice. Her name became a song sung by the winds, a legend whispered by firesides. In her absence, the village thrived. Obinna became a leader in his own right, blending tradition and innovation as they had dreamed. The sacred forest stood untouched, its trees bearing witness to the sacrifices made for its survival. Years later, when Amara returned as an older woman, the village greeted her with open arms. Though she had lost much, her father's words remained true: the strength of our people lies in the stories we carry. Amara had not only carried the stories, she had become one herself, a tale of love, loss, and the unyielding power of legacy.
Please press subscribe button. It helps us bring you more interesting stories. Your support keep us going. Please subscribe.